Okay, I think we're ready to start now. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this webinar organized by EasySustainability. This evening, the event is going to be on charting a sustainable future, the symbiotic relationship of policy, community, and innovation. Just before starting, couple of rules, as I've already mentioned. Please make sure that your microphone is muted. If you have any questions or feedback, please share them in the chat. We're going to come back to them at the end of the session. Same thing if you have any technical issues, just send a message and we're going to try to help you with that. This is a respectful environment, so please make sure to respect other people's opinion, questions, and etc. Also, super important, this event is recorded and you will be able to watch it afterwards. And also share it with friends and other people. Right, a quick introduction maybe about EasySustainability. EasySustainability is a non-profit organization that aims to disseminate sustainability among the general public, especially in the corporate world. The mission of EasySustainability is to help people, especially youth, young people, in landing green careers. How does EasySustainability do that? Well, by organizing different events, different initiatives, and putting in place a variety of projects. Let me give you a couple of examples of areas where EasySustainability is very active. In youth green entrepreneurship, renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, waste reduction, climate change, and education. But that is about us. Now, a little bit more about our webinar and our speakers this evening. As I said, this evening we're going to talk about charting a sustainable future, the symbiotic relationship of policy, community, and innovation. And we have the privilege of having Kalina Gerasimova, and Cindy Koen, who are going to be our speaker this evening. Cindy has an education in sustainable development with over 8 years of experience in waste management, rural and informal economy, and circular economy. Currently, she's transitioning to a new position as Environment and Sustainability Manager in New Zealand after holding a position as Pro-Nature Economic Development Coordinator, supporting rural-based and informal micro-enterprises in South Africa. She's also piloting and starting numerous waste management initiatives in rural settings with minimal waste management resources and services available. What about Kalina? Kalina is based in Bulgaria. She is from Bulgaria, and she's dedicated to promoting environmental sustainability, focusing on energy efficiency, recycling, and refurbishing. She's the founder of a company called Recycle, and she aims to convert waste into valuable resources while ensuring nature protection. Her company's core mission is to rebuild trust in recycling systems and engage all stakeholders in the economy. So this is about us. I hope that you will enjoy this event. But before starting the presentation, we would like to ask you a couple of questions, learn a little bit more about you, but also test your knowledge around circular economy. Let's try. I'm going to share with you my screen, and I'm going to just give me a second. Right. Let's try again. First of all, can you see my screen? Cool.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. So what are we going to do? What you need to do is to scan the QR code, log in into Mentimeter, and then I'm going to start asking questions. There is going to be a super short quiz and a couple of other questions. Okay, I can see one person is already in. Come on, join in. I'll give you a little bit more time to join. 8 people. Come on, don't be shy.
Can you please understand one more time how to start the quiz? Because maybe I'm so stupid, but I have no
No,
idea. Yeah.
no worries. You can scan the QR code. Can you do that?
No, because I'm watching that presentation on my phone, so I have no another camera to scan the QR code.
To scan the QR code. I'll tell you what, even
Maybe you can
I
share
would
the
start with
link.
that.
Yeah, no.
So what you can do is to go to menti.com.
Okay.
So you go to menti.com. I sent it in the chat, and then you need to enter the code 66327203. Also put it in the chat so that you can copy paste potentially. I hope this is working.
Sorry, it's not working for me either. I'm sitting in Dubai, so I don't know if there are any restrictions. So trying to connect to Anonym and see if I get into Menti.
Oh. And if you go to the website menti.com, is it working or it's only the
No,
QR?
it's
None of
not
it.
working neither in my computer or my telephone. In Dubai, we have sometimes restrictions, so I don't know if it's part of the restrictions.
Okay, that's interesting.
No, I connected to Anonym in Sweden, and still, no, it's not opening.
No,
No,
sorry to hear that.
it looks something, I don't know if you can see my screen, it just go all white. So it's the light reflection, it's evening here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Is
cannot
there
participate.
next time? Sorry,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay.
Let's try to move on because of time. Okay, so my first question that I wanted to ask you is, what comes to your mind when you think about circular economy? For those who cannot access Menti, please feel free to share in the chat. I would love to hear more about that. Reuse, recycling, refurbishing, the word that I struggle pronouncing. Zero waste, green, future generations, or future generations. Wow. Cost efficient, reduce, reuse, sustainable society, minimum waste, repurposing of discarded materials. Exactly, yes. Resilience, efficiency, cradle to cradle. Nice. Future, recycling. We can see that recycling is one of the most, is getting bigger and bigger, which means that people are sharing that. Okay. Nice. Waste management. I'm not sure if I read that out loud. Okay. Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Interconnected as well. Okay, let's see the next question. So, we are very curious to know what motivated you to join today's webinar. To learn more about circular economy? Same. Current legislation policies surrounding the topic. Nice. Networking and knowledge building. Learn more about others' opinion of circular economy. Nice. Knowledge is never enough. Yes, agree. Lovely. Learn more about innovations in the field. Learn more about circular economy and networking. Amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. I hope that we're going to reply and cover all of that. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to quickly go through our quiz. I'm taking a little bit longer, so I'm going to try to speed it up this time. Okay, we have 18 players ready. Okay, let's start our quiz then. South Africa is known for innovative waste-to-energy projects. What do you think are the main benefits of converting landfill gas into electricity? Reducing pollution, generating sustainable energy, creating job opportunities in local communities. Everyone has voted. Lovely. Nice. So the correct answer is generating sustainable energy. Okay, let's jump into the next question. Oh, first let's see our leaderboard. Nice, Bill, Didi, Joanna, Ted, Kings. Well done, guys. Okay, let's jump into the next question. What is one of the key initiatives the EU has introduced to enhance plastic recycling? Single-use plastics directive, plastic packaging tax, circular economy action plan. Okay. The majority has replied circular economy action plan. Actually, it is single-use plastics directive. You know that plastic straws were forbidden, and etc. So this is under this directive. Last question. Oh, let's see the leaderboard first. Bill, still first. Yep, Joanna is not far behind though. Okay, next one. This one is about Bulgaria. Hopefully you can learn something new. How does Bulgaria's approach to waste management policies, such as education and integration, differ from that of other EU countries? It emphasizes strict penalties for non-compliance, it focuses on community engagement, or it relies solely on tech solutions. The majority has replied it focuses on community engagement, and that is the correct answer. Well done, guys. You know a lot. Okay, let's quickly see the leaderboard and who has won. I think everyone has won. We all learned something new. I hope so. Well done, Joanna. You're the first one, followed by Bill. Kalina, third place. Montana, and etc. and etc. Thank you, everyone, for joining that game. I think it's about time now to start with the presentations. Okay, first is gonna be Cindy, and I will share the presentation. Give me a second. Cindy, would you like to say a couple of words about yourself while I'm sharing my screen?
No problem. Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining in. As mentioned earlier, I'm Cindy Koen. I am currently based in New Zealand as an environment and sustainability manager for one of the regional councils. But I have quite a few years of experience in circular economy, specializing in waste management, and supporting small, medium, and micro enterprises and development of green economy. Perfect. So I'm going to be talking about policy and community action and how they kind of tie together. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's start off with policy. So what is policy? Policy is something that a government will use as a guiding document for certain standards and regulations within their country. A policy is also, it's in different countries, it's different ways in how the government actually puts it in place and how they come about it. Oftentimes it would be bureaucracy pushing certain agendas. Sometimes it would also be because of certain action groups or people driving certain change. And then that is how policy comes to play. A policy is also not something that can just quickly be put in place. It is sometimes a very timely process because it has to go through a process of due diligence to ensure that people's voices and opinions are heard and have been taken into account. So oftentimes policy also comes out and people feel that the policy wasn't right, but it is because then there wasn't enough people actually informing the policy from a government side or government's perspective. So from the community perspective, it is very important to ensure that when you see that your government or when your local authorities are putting in new legislation or new policy, it is important to keep up to date, especially with those that you have most interest in, to ensure that you see and feel that your opinion is put out. And therefore, it is also always good to follow and support community action groups because they have quite a lot of say when it comes to policy development and inputting information into policy. Yes, with saying that there are certain instances in certain countries where the public's opinion is not really always heard and not always taken into account, but it's not the case worldwide, and it is important to stay up to date with the changes from your country so that you can influence it. Why is policy important? So policy is important because it sets a regulatory and a process in place where there's rules where people can follow. Let's take waste management, for example. If there isn't a waste management policy in place, it would be very easy for community members or for businesses to abuse their powers or their rights and actually do more harm than good. For example, let's look at a mine. There's certain policies in place where mines' effluent water needs to go and their excess needs to go and the way that they manage their waste management. And it's important for those rules and regulations to be set in a legal format so that they have to adhere to those. And it just protects us as community, but it also obviously protects the environment and then the sustainability going forward. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's look at community. What role does the community play? So as I mentioned before, the community are the ones that actually has to guide a lot of the policies. The community has to be the ones, especially with the activist groups, where they go and they push for certain policy changes, especially those where policies are outdated and old and no longer relevant for our current statuses and our current state of affairs. And it is in that case, it is important for them to drive change, the positive change through, so that they can get more systems in place that can actually be more aligned with how the sustainable development has to go going forward. Why community is important? Because community are the ones that needs to put a lot of this in place. Policy isn't necessarily there just for government to be able to make rules. Policies are also there to guide, and it's important for community to know what those guidelines are so that they can also put pressure on, for example, bigger businesses that might not necessarily comply and get them to comply, because sustainability in the long run is going to be something that encompasses all of us, and we all have an effect there. It's not just from one side, it's not just from the government side, because it's important to also note that a government is there to govern. They're not really there to implement these projects. They are there to set the regulatory tone and to set an atmosphere for like an enabling environment for communities and innovators and businesses to actually make the change and to put impacts in place. Next slide, please. Okay, so then we look at the symbiotic relationship between the community and the policy. Who is responsible to take action and how to know what action to take? And this is quite a difficult one, because who is responsible to take action? It depends what exactly it is. If it is day-to-day specific small items, let's look at household waste and that waste having to be taken away. Who is responsible for that? And essentially, people have a tendency to always put blame and put pressure on the other party instead of taking ownership, because that is a unified thing. It's not one person's responsibility. It's not one entity's responsibility. You as an individual is responsible to ensure that your waste management from your personal perspective is in a certain level, whether it is that you are recycling, whether it is that you are reducing waste. That is a personal opinion. We all have different opinions on that. And it is important that you have your best practice in place, despite what the policy says, despite what the government allows. Let's take, for example, in rural South Africa, you might be very passionate about recycling and you might be doing recycling in your house, but there is actually no facilities for you to access recycling collections within your community because it's just not there. But you as an individual need to take responsibility for that, to say that, okay, this is the situation that I am in. How can I change it? How can I affect it? Because the minute you make change and you affect it, people around you will notice and people will follow you, because people have a tendency, and it's a psychological effect actually, that people will always follow what the leader or the perceived leader is doing. So you have to become that leader and you have to put those actions in place. How to know what actions to take. And again, that is a very personal thing to look at. I might feel it is reducing my waste. I might feel it is recycling. I might feel it is nothing, which unfortunately sometimes is the case. And you take the actions that is relevant for you. But like in life, it is always good to have a good goal and put goals together and work towards them, whether it is in a personal space, whether it is business related, whether it is environmentally, economically. It's important to see what actions are there that you would like to take and how can you actually accomplish it and how you can, take those actions coming forward. Next slide, please. Okay. Understanding the complexities. Like everything in life, there's always complexities and it's always difficult to navigate. Number one, there's a lot of old school policies. There's a lot of old school ways of thinking, which needs to be changed. And that change starts with, I would like to think, people like us, people like EasySustainability, where we drive a lot of positive forward change to say that, you know what, these policies are outdated. How can we change them? Speak to the right people, speak to the right bureaucrats and say, look, these are the kind of policies that need to be changed. And we would like to be able to give input to, to progress it and to make the right positive change. Secondly, linear development. So when we talk about linear development, we're looking at the more traditional westernized way of doing business. I get a resource in, I process it, I make a product, I sell the product, it's not my problem anymore, and that's it. Usually that product that was now sold will then be utilized and discarded. That's a linear development system. So where we would like to go, obviously, is going to transition everything to a more circular economy, meaning that once you as a business sold your products, you have mechanisms in place to, if there is a product that needs to be discarded at the end of use, how are you going to do that? Is there mechanisms to do that, and how can you reduce the waste as much as possible? Reducing plastic, reducing excess chemical usage, all of those. But then you as a product user also needs to have accessibility. It's no use saying, yes, our products are great because it's recyclable, but in the end of the day, I'm sitting in rural South Africa where there is no recycling facilities. So yes, your product might be recyclable, but is the recyclable really feasible? So it's looking at those kind of systems. Thirdly, sustainability and innovation. And this is where, for me, the most exciting thing comes in. Sustainability and innovation is complex. It is extremely difficult, but it is so great. Sustainability is a very newish topic. Yes, it has been around for a few years, but people are grabbing onto it more, meaning that people have a conscious shift where they are now looking at how can they move forward in a much better positive way to actually preserve the environment and the world and planet and people for longer. And that is where innovation comes through. And I know Kalina is going to be talking about innovation a little bit later. And that is where the thing is. And that is where community comes in. And it's important to still keep your government involved, because there is a certain regulatory policies that needs to sometimes be adhered to, especially when it comes to something like waste management, and you need authorization or permission to do stuff. But the innovation that comes through is critical. If I can use an example, one of the projects that we were running in South Africa and that's busy piloting at the moment is looking at the utilization of used disposable nappies, and taking those nappies. There's a lot of, if I can start over, and there's a lot of bigger Western countries where there's these great big nappy recycling facilities where they go through a sanitation program and they get pelletized, and that's great. But if you're looking at a rural setting in South Africa, number one, you don't have water. Number two, you have very unreliable electricity. Number three, you don't have resources or money to actually build these facilities. So you need to look at an alternative option, and that is where innovation comes in. So we had a very innovative idea come through where these nappies were utilized. They had collection points where community members could take them, that's accessible to them, drop these nappies off in a centralized location. From there, the nappies are then taken to a micro incineration system that is an enclosed system to reduce the amount of carbon offsets that you have, also carbon offsetting that you have, so your reduced emissions. And that is then burnt into a very fine ash. That fine ash is then utilized into making bricks or building material, because there's quite a big demand in building material in rural South Africa. So it's a perfect kind of symbiotic relationship between a waste product and an end product that has a longer lifespan. So that is also where the forward thinking comes in, and that is looking at forward thinking has to do with, in this context, it has to do quite a bit with looking at your specific area, looking at your complexities, looking at your problems that you have on the ground, and looking at how you can overcome them. One solution will not be fit for everyone across the board, across the world. It's not how it works. We've seen that with linear development. It just doesn't work everywhere. So one solution in one place needs to be adapted, and that is where the forward thinking comes in. Next slide, please. Okay, so initiatives, we've already gone into it a little bit, but forward thinking and the innovation comes in where the circular economy thinking and implementation of innovative initiatives comes forward towards the sustainable development. I'm not going to go into that too much because I know Kalina is going to focus quite a lot on that, and I don't want to waste too much of your time. But in the end of the day, it's very important to look at when new initiatives are started. You need to look at where is the best alignment in the sense of what products do I need in order to make my products or do my services, and what am I going to leave behind? What are my footprints? What is it that I'm going to have to discard? Those items that's going to be discarded, who can actually utilize them? Who do I need to speak to so that we can start the circular economy system and move forward in a very forward-thinking, innovative system to ensure that whatever I take is potentially a waste product from someone else, and whatever I leave behind is an intake for someone else. So that we create more circular economy systems within a whole network, and not just for us in our own business, but looking at what comes in and what comes out. Next slide, please. Okay, conclusion. So, in the perfect ideal world, we need to focus on youth movements, because youth has a way of thinking a little bit differently and a little bit more innovative, because they've seen what has happened and they have the ability to now start implementing change for their own future. Innovative thinking, it's definitely the way ahead. It is, again, like what I mentioned, looking at what do you need, what are you leaving behind, and who can tie into that. Inclusivity is understanding that everybody has to have a say. Everybody has to have an opinion, and it has to be listened to. Yes, not all of them have to be taken seriously, but yet they have to be given, because it's important for people to know that they have a voice. And then collaboration. Doing things together is the only way that we're going to actually sustainably move forward. Because if we don't do it together, then it's actually just not going to work. Next slide, please. I think that's it, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much, everybody. I believe the Q&A will be at the end of the webinar. Kingsley, I'm not sure, am I correct there?
Yes, correctly.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Lovely presentation. Amazing. I personally learned so many things. Okay, now it's time for our next presentation, our next presenter. Kalina, would you like to present yourself quickly?
Yes, thank you. My name is Kalina, and I'm passionate about sustainability. I'm also a nature lover, and I'm new into this field. I started specializing in sustainable development 2 years ago, and I would like to continue and bring effective solutions in not only in my country, but also and to also somewhere else. We would like to encourage young people and everyone to recycle, because it's important, and we should exceed the life of the products and bring new value to plastic and also other recyclable waste.
Amazing. Thank you. So before starting the presentation, we would like to start with a short video. Let me share my screen with you. Can you see my screen?
The planet Earth has existed.
Sound is working?
Yeah.
Perfect.
The planet Earth has existed for approximately 4.5 billion years, and humans have inhabited Earth for not more than 50,000 to 70,000 years ago. As a result, each year, the world emits over 36 billion metric tons of CO2 and produces nearly 400 million metric tons of plastic. And the tendency is these numbers to continue rising. Projections suggest that over the next 10 years, plastic production could double, with a significant portion ending up in landfills or polluting our oceans. But it's not just the environment that suffers. Our health and ecosystems are paying a heavy price too. Microplastics, tiny fragments of plastic have infiltrated our bodies and the fish we consume, impacting our health and biodiversity. However, there's hope, and this is a significant portion of the virgin plastic production to be lowered as it can be recycled and transformed into new products. By ramping up recycling efforts, we can mitigate the environmental and health impacts of plastic pollution. This requires improved waste management systems, innovative technologies, and the collective effort of all stakeholders in the circular economy. When we put the whole picture together, recycling is the right thing to do.
Yes, this was our entering video, and now you see the presentation. First, I'd like to thank you for having me in this webinar, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity presenting and delving deeper into the topic of waste management and innovation in the field. The second slide, I'll introduce our company. Recycle is a small startup community dedicated to implementing sustainable solutions to address both regional and also global challenges. The operations we are mainly focused in are developing easy-to-use recycling deposit centers to the technology of RVM, this machine, reverse vending machine. We are also providers of smart bins, and currently with one of our partners, we are developing a sustainable software that will be an integral part of providing more transparency, traceability of waste, and fostering young people to participation. Next slide, please. As we saw from the video, plastic pollution is spread around the earth as a global disease, and it's not just the environment that suffers, but also the humanity. The stats are discouraging, and the world plastic production for 2023 was 159 metric tons, and you can see that only 9.8% of the world plastic was refurbished and recycled and reintroduced back into the economy, which is absolutely insufficient. And similar percentages of refurbished communal waste can be found also in Bulgaria. The next slide. Recycle operates in Bulgaria, where the challenges we're focusing our innovative startup are related to poor waste management system and struggle of ineffective policy adoption. We have ineffective green policy, no deposit system, and no engagement with society and business, which is really important to continue developing this field. The system is leaking, and as there is no established regional and local policies to encourage all people to engage with the nowadays challenges, they feel discouraged for that they cannot be rewarded for their efforts. Next slide. Going to the Bulgarian separate waste management system, it was adopted in 2007, and it consists of 3 color containers. The first one is the yellow one, which collect together plastic and metal packing. The green one is for glass, but we don't collect it separately. We collect all the glasses there. And the blue one is for paper and cardboard. We also have the gray metal containers, which are most common, and also in some areas, even in our capital, they're only gray containers. And unfortunately, the materials that are thrown there are non-recyclable, and you can find almost everything from electronics, batteries, organic waste, and others. However, after the adoption of separate waste management system in Bulgaria, initial challenges included public confusion and lack of integration policies. Next slide. As you see, here the picture presents the reality. The major problems are related to mixed communal general waste, with the one in the separate containers and a lot of unregulated landfills. Thus, less recyclable materials with lower quality are collected, which does not allow their effective refurbishing. People do not have accurate information about the percentages of recycled and non-recycled materials, which discourages them and the one who wants to recycle and engage. The major issue with the adoption of the system back in 2007 was in the beginning because people didn't understand the need of separate collection and the collection of their waste and the point of having 2 or 3 additional containers. There was no integrating policy to showcase the citizen how to operate with the containers, so they throw everything in one place. Going in time, this eco wave came in Bulgaria too, and more people got informed about the purposes of collecting our waste separately, exceeding life of products, and also the positive outcomes for the society. The challenges and the questions around the waste management system also changed, and now they look like that. So we want to recycle, but for example, where does the stuff we collect really end up being recycled? Where does it go? Does it make any difference? And how can we know that actually we're helping? Next slide. And here we found our place in the system, as we want to put back trust into the recycling, make it work, make it more effective and digitalized. We do believe in power of technology and innovation, so we focused on development of smart systems based on software integration in reverse vending machines and bins. By implementing technology, we could bring answers to all these questions, so we can provide transparency and show our users exactly where does your plastic bottle goes from entering into our ARMs, what are the collected quantities, what are the percentage of them being recycled, and which are the recycling entities that are doing this. The ARM systems could provide also a solution with the recyclable waste and support the conventional system. The advantages they have are related to their size. Can we move, sorry, to the next slide? The advantages they have are related to their size, technical specifications, and shredding options and integrated press. Thus, we can exceed the collected quantities and also the quality of the material. They are ready to use and convenient both for open spaces and inside. Schools, municipalities, grocery stores, food stations, restaurants, and other places. The technical specifications you'll be able to see in the next slide. Can we see the next slide, please? Every machine has 36 barcode recognition, which, for example, can help separating process if we're collecting, for example, more than one material, because usually in the ARMs they can be adjusted based on each country policy. You can collect, for example, plastic, aluminium, or glass. You can make combination between plastic and aluminium, and etc. For example, in Bulgaria, we are expecting to adopt the deposit system maybe at the end of this year or in the beginning of the next one, and we'll be collecting plastic bottles and cans in one. The second feature here is image recognition, which can give us feedback about all stored transactions, accepted, non-accepted bottles, and they're stored in cloud space. The software provides more accuracy in collecting processes and also CVC reports for the generated quantities from each beverage producer. For example, in this way, we can know which are the preferred beverages from which producers, and depending on that, it can be calculated their negative impact and also the tax that they will have to pay. The machines also have weight recognition, which helps the machine to recognize is it bottle or can, depending on the acceptance. Due to the size of the RVM installation, collection quantities could vary. The next slide represents one of our machines that are for inside installation. For example, in a groceries shops. Can we see the next slide? As I said, it's easy and convenient to be installed. It's plug and play, and depending on the place where it will be installed, the capacity of the machines could vary. They have 2 or 3 inner separate containers, and they are connected also to an app. Which can help all the users collect their rewards and use it later, for example, in donation campaigns or in partner shops. And as the presentation is going to its end, I would like to send you all one message. Can we see the last slide, please? I'd like to remind you all that we should not forget that the grass is greener where only we clean it, and together we can make it. Thank you for your attention.
Amazing. I love it. The grass is greener where you can clean it. Such a good quote. Well done. Okay, first of all, thank you both, Cindy and Kalina. Are there any questions? It's questions time. Is there anything that you would like to ask our speakers? You can send your question in the chat, but you also can unmute yourself and just share. I kind of love it when there are no questions, because this means that the presentations were so clear. I just love it. Or any comments, feel free also to share your opinion on the topics.
I have a question for Sydney. So I know you'd mentioned about legislation and how important it is for us to keep up to date with legislation. In the industry I work in, I feel like the only motivating drivers for sustainability come from legislation. So what should people do to, I guess, encourage legislation to go in the direction of sustainable practices?
You know, I think it depends a little bit on where exactly you're situated, in which government affiliations you have to go into. But if you see that there's something that's really critically in need, you know, of a policy change, I would suggest looking at the action parties or activist groups that are actively pushing change, to actually start engaging with them, because chances are that they already have connections with the right people to speak to. And that is where the whole collaboration thing comes in. you as an individual or you as a small organization don't have as much leverage and as much power to influence change as potentially other bigger groups. It's also very important to understand that when you do something in a collaborative action system, it's not about this is what I did, it is about this is what we did. Because a lot of people are a little bit skeptical of going to certain activist groups and speaking to them to drive change because it's then not going to be about them. It's a little bit of a bitter pill to sometimes swallow for some people, but it is something to take acknowledge of, and to acknowledge. So it would be important to speak to the right people that already have areas where they have influence, and speaking to them to drive the influence and to push it a little bit more with them.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation and your response. Very informative.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yes, but let's see if the participants have others.
I think there is Chris who raised his hand. Chris, is there anything you'd like to ask or share? You're on mute.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yes. Hi everyone. This is Selena. Yeah, if not mistaken, the pronunciation. I just want to find out in the context of a developing country like Zambia, we have the biggest challenges are the issue of the plastic, and there are very few companies that are in that business of recycling the plastic bottles. But I'm sure, maybe I believe that maybe the manufacturer, maybe they pay some form of the tax, but the challenge is on the consumer side. Now, my concern is that, is there maybe some sort of a simple business model compared to what Kalina was presenting? Because I see that is much advanced for countries like Zambia, which are still trying to find its stability. Yeah, I don't know if you got that.
I would like to share, I'll share one link as a good example. It's called, the company, it's like non-profit organization. It's called Plastic Bank, and they're operating, I'm not sure, but in those coast areas where there is a massive plastic pollution, and they engage local communities to participate in plastic collection, and they open in their rural areas centers where you bring your plastic and you receive, for example, some kind of incentive or point, and they made a whole system to include also all types of people participating in these initiatives and making some kind of earnings. They're one good example. I'll just post the link. I don't know, am I answering your question, but it could be useful.
Yes, I've seen the link. Yeah, I think that way maybe it could be useful if there could be campaigns of that, because the situation, of course, is not a good one. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, but so Chris, Frank Kingsley here. So I am originally from Nigeria, and although I live in Germany now, I understand what you're saying. Because the practicality of it is that although even if there is intentions of plastic bank, there is a lack of educational or awareness or the end user of the plastic. So even if you collect the plastics, who's going to recycle that? Who's going to use that? I think most importantly, having lived in Germany for 4 years, is to do public awareness and education first, and then look for a market or an industry that would have to create a demand for the plastic. And when the demand for the plastic is, you have people sorting the plastic. Example, I mean, before I left Nigeria, I know there's a lot of increase in education about PET bottles. And when that education became very big, there's a spurt of decentralized effort by different people, different companies, and different NGOs in, like, let's say, in every city or metropolis, to always pick the PET bottles or the bottles into one collection point, and they get like food stuff or recharge cards or house utensils, etc., or kegs of water, water bags, etc. So there is I think the most important thing to do, especially for us in Africa, is one, to create a market of, when you get this bottle, this excessive plastic waste, how do we use it? How do we take care of it? And then an education. And when there's a demand and education, then organically there will be establishment of infrastructures and education of people to fill in the supply chain. So this is my thought about it. Thank you for asking the question also.
Thank you.
Chris, if I can also maybe just add, it's worth also doing a little bit of research. I'm not too sure about what is happening in Zambia at the moment, but like, for example, in South Africa, there's quite a lot of pressure being put on a lot of the producers. So if you sometimes go and speak to, let's say, for example, the Coca-Cola company or manufacturer in Zambia, and say to them, look, this is the problem that you have identified. What kind of resources do they have that you can tap into and support? They will be able to give you contacts to certain recyclers or buyback centers that you can tap into. Or they also have education programs with schools, often, or most of them do, where they can then actually support you with those kind of support system. So it's definitely worth speaking to the big companies. Look how you can get in touch with them and see what benefits do they have, because there's all from a international standard, they're all being pressurized to put better impact and change in the countries that they're operating in. So maybe look at them as well.
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
Federico, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, if the participants don't have any other questions, I might have something to discuss. Let's cap it at 10 minutes max, but even less, to be brief. Well, first of all, thank you very much. It was was very happy to host you here. Thank to Kingsley, especially, and all the other volunteers for helping organizing this event. For Kalina, I would have some questions. I also worked in this field of waste management, but from more an industrial point of view. I seem to understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that you are basically more on the consumer side, right? So these are for coming out of waste collections from individual side, right?
Yes. Yes, we are focused to the end consumers and to the people, like the society, not industrial. But we want to, and our plan is to work also closely with recycling entities, so we can provide this trust that I was talking about, we can, so that we can follow the path of the let's say the bottle, from entering to the RVM to the recycling entity, and to know, for example, with which recycling entities we're working, to receive feedback and information also, not only from our software, but from them as what are the collected quantities, how much of them were able to be recycled. And yes, so we can bring back the trust into the system, because here in Bulgaria, this is the main problem, because people do not see any transparency, and no one is talking about how much is being recycled, what happened, because here there is one practice of burning all the waste. It's not legal, but they keep doing it, and that's why we want to make this process more clear and yeah, transparent.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Yeah, that's great actually. Also because I think you have present, like you have in mind the butterfly model of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, like regarding all the R's, recycle, reuse, and everything. But because we are having quite like a bit different problems in like some other countries, like Italy. There is a debate where, because I've been through it, like I know it firsthand. There is a debate, very strong debate, also backed by a lot of lobbying from the plastic industry, where actually recycling is not considered an ideal solution of for like sustainability. It is kind of better than burning it, but first there is the eco design, so reduction, then there is the reutilization. Also, this is a bit kind of in line also with the new regulation on greenwashing that came out. There have been some problems and also some accusations around of greenwashing from companies to companies on the recycling practices and other things. I don't know if you have any comment about these things. Like, what do you think of a type of LCA? Like, do you do some kind of cost benefit analysis also? What is maybe the best solution in some cases, also on upcycling, for instance, of these materials?
I would definitely agree that the product design is really important, but I would say that yes, there could be really eco-friendly and sustainable design products, but the most important part is what happened with these products, and are we able to use this good base like starting point, so we can recycle them. I can't say right now any additional information, because for the we didn't make much researches on that, because mainly when we focus on the processes of recycling and refurbishing, but due to the EU directives, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's companies will stick to that, so we can be expecting more sustainable products, eco-friendly and recyclable, and hopefully we do not want to see any greenwashing, because it's not effective afterwards in the process of refurbishing the products. We receive as waste. Yes.
Yeah, no, great. Because I saw even firsthand cases of even the startup itself that they had to change the wording of stuff because it was not very clear if it was really like environmentally friendly, not environmentally friendly, especially on an industrial level. Recycling can use a lot of energy also, and they found also microplastics. So it's very hard sometimes to understand many things. But yeah, great. Thank you very much for your answers.
Thank you
Yes.
too. I just want to add this, that yes, it's it costs. It's like energy. It costs a lot of energy to recycle the products, but also due to the ESG directive, these recycling entities can use also renewable energy, and there are other ways that it can be done too, and to be more sustainable. Yeah.
It's a package of solutions, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's basically all from my end. Maybe I could say, like my last quote, maybe the grass is greener when there is not a billionaire or a corporation destroying it. From my side. A bit cynical, but yeah, it's true also this. And I don't know if someone else has anything to add.
Do you have any other questions? We can allow one more question, and then it's time to finish. Last chance. No? Okay. Well, first of all, we would like to thank all of you for joining this webinar, and thank again to both of our speakers, Kalina and Cindy, for those amazing presentations that were I learned lots because of you, and I'm very grateful for that as well. So many thanks. Let's stay in touch, guys. EasySustainability is also preparing other webinars. Kingsley, would you like to share a couple of words about the next webinars?
Oh, hi guys. So we'll just continue from the vote of thanks, and then we're gonna have dinner. As we end this month and we're going to March, we have a webinar that we prepared on hydrogen with the International Energy Agency and Rambo. We want to talk about a strategy for energy transition, talking about hydrogen, green hydrogen, and we are mostly looking at what are the opportunities that we need to get into the hydrogen sector, engineering-wise, and the whole job sector, the whole supply chain in full. So our speakers are senior consultants from Rambo and IEA, and they were talking to us about what are the current challenges, what is the market trend looking like, what is the projection looking like, and if we want to work in the field of green hydrogen or hydrogen in general, we would employ you to attend this webinar, so you will learn about what skills is needed, how can you get into working there, even if you have a different degree from what you have now. So thank everyone again. Tanus, thank you for joining us from the United States, and Cindy, thank you. Officially, we have two people from US and New Zealand, so both end of the worlds, and some people from Argentina, Nigeria, Zambia, and most of us in Europe. Thank you for joining and for staying long, and Dubai also. I wouldn't forget the Arabic words. Thank you, guys. See you very soon on the 14th of March by 19 o'clock. I would send more reminders on LinkedIn and Instagram. And if we have an announcement to make, if there is a new webinar that hasn't been confirmed yet, but will confirm soon, we would let you know about the details in the next coming days. So thank you and God bless you. Enjoy your nights.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Day, night, whatever in your time zone. Bye.